I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my tie for what felt like the 100th time. 3 days until the wedding. Everything seemed perfect. I had loved Sara for 5 years, proposed a year ago, and both families were thrilled. But something felt off. She had grown distant over the past 2 months, and my brother Kyle had been acting strange too. I chalked it up to pre-wedding stress. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Kyle. My stomach dropped before I even read it, because somehow deep down I knew that message was about to shatter everything. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below and let me know your city or country. And if you are enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button because I share real stories like this one regularly. Trust me, you will want to hear how this plays out because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about loyalty and family. The message was brief. We need to talk. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street. Alone. It is urgent. The tone was different from our usual brotherly banter. No jokes, no casual language. Just cold, direct words that made my heart race. I grabbed my jacket and headed out. The drive felt longer than usual. My mind raced through possibilities. Was something wrong with Mom, Dad? Was Kyle in some kind of trouble? I pulled into the parking lot of the small coffee shop we used to visit as kids. The place held memories of easier times. Kyle was already there, sitting in the corner booth farthest from the entrance. His face was pale, almost gray. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped his coffee cup. I slid into the seat across from him and waited. He could not look me in the eye. "What is going on?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Sara is pregnant," he finally said. For a split second, joy flickered through me. Then I saw his expression. "The baby is mine." Time stopped. The noise of the coffee shop faded into nothing. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, waiting for him to say he was joking. But he just sat there looking like he might throw up. "What?" It was all I could manage. Kyle started talking fast words, tumbling out like he had rehearsed them. 2 months ago, when I was away on a business trip to Seattle, he stopped by our apartment to discuss wedding gifts with Sara. They had wine. Too much wine. One thing led to another. It only happened once, he swore. But Sara found out she was pregnant last week. The timing matched. She took a paternity test. The baby was his. I did not yell. I did not flip the table or punch him like every instinct screamed at me to do. I just sat there frozen. My brain scrambled to make sense of it. The distance from Sara. Her mood swings. Kyle avoiding family dinners. It all clicked into place like pieces of a horrible puzzle. "Does she know you are telling me?" I asked. My voice sounded strange, detached. Kyle nodded miserably. "She is scared. She does not know what to do." I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak. "I need to talk to her." I walked out without another word. The drive home was a blur. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Sara was on the couch when I walked in, her eyes red and swollen. When she saw me, she burst into tears. "I am so sorry, Randall. I am so sorry. It was the biggest mistake of my life." I stood in the doorway, unable to move closer. "Do you love him?" I asked. She shook her head frantically. "No, I love you. Only you. It was one stupid drunken night. I hate myself for it." But the baby was real. The betrayal was real. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice breaking. I looked at the woman I had planned to spend my life with. "I need time to think," I said quietly. Then I left. I crashed at my best friend Marcus's place. He was the only person I could talk to without judgment. When I told him what happened, his face went through about 10 different expressions before settling on pure rage. "Are you kidding me? Your own brother, 3 days before your wedding." He paced his living room like a caged animal. "You need to cancel everything. Right now." But I could not think that far ahead. I could not think at all. I just lay on his couch staring at the ceiling, replaying 5 years of memories with Sara. Every laugh, every kiss, every promise we made to each other. All of it felt like a lie now. Sleep did not come that night, or the next. By day 3, I looked like a ghost. My phone buzzed constantly with calls from Sara, Kyle, my parents. I ignored them all. Marcus brought me coffee and tried to get me to eat, but food tasted like cardboard. "You know what kills me," I finally said. It was not just Sara who betrayed me. It was Kyle, my own brother, the guy I grew up with. We shared a room for 18 years. I trusted him with everything. Marcus sat down next to me. "Some people do not deserve trust, man, no matter who they are." On day 4, my phone rang again. This time it was my mom. "Patricia," I answered. "Randall, honey, we need to talk. All of us. Please come home." Her voice was thick with tears. I did not want to face them, but I knew I could not hide forever. An hour later, I walked into my parents' house. The living room was full. Mom, Dad, Kyle, Sara, and even Sara's parents, the Johnsons. Everyone looked miserable. My mother was crying quietly. My father, Frank, stood by the fireplace with his arms across his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. "How could you do this to your brother?" Dad asked Kyle. His voice was low and dangerous. Kyle hung his head. "I know I messed up. I know I cannot fix this. I'm sorry." Sorry. Such a small word for such massive destruction. Mom dabbed her eyes with a tissue. "We need to figure out what to do. The wedding is in 3 days. The guests have been notified. We have deposits we cannot get back. And there is a baby coming who needs a father." The practical concerns felt absurd given the emotional wreckage, but she was right. This mess had real-world consequences. Sara's mother spoke up, her voice shaking with shame. "We are so deeply sorry for what our daughter did. We raised her better than this. We do not know what to say." The room fell into uncomfortable silence. Then Kyle stood up. "I have a solution." Everyone turned to look at him. "The baby is mine. Sara and I made this mistake together. I should take responsibility." I felt my stomach turn. "What are you saying?" I asked, though part of me already knew. Kyle looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that made my blood run cold. Desperation, and maybe something else. Opportunism. "You should let me marry her instead." The words hung in the air like poison. My mother gasped. Sara's eyes went wide with shock. My father's face turned red. "Kyle, what are you talking about?" Mom asked, her voice rising. Kyle pressed on. "The wedding is already planned. The venue is booked. The guests are expecting a wedding. We just switch out the groom. It saves money and the baby gets both parents. Randall deserves better anyway. Sara needs someone to stand by her. I am the father. It makes sense." The logic was insane. Absolutely insane. Yet he said it like he was presenting a reasonable business proposal. "This is insane," Dad said, echoing my thoughts. But Kyle kept going. "I am trying to make this right. Randall has his whole life ahead of him. He can find someone better, someone who will not hurt him. Sara and I created this situation. We should deal with it together." I watched him talk, watched him try to rationalize stealing my fiancée and my wedding. And something inside me shifted. The pain was still there, sharp and raw. But underneath it, something else grew. Clarity. Cold, hard clarity. Sara was crying. "Randall, I am so sorry. I do not know what to do." Everyone was looking at me, waiting for me to explode or break down or agree to this insane plan. Instead, I smiled. Just a small smile. Then I stood up. "I need some air," I said calmly. I walked out of the house, leaving them all staring after me in confusion. Outside, the evening air was cool against my face. I stood on the porch, breathing slowly, feeling my heartbeat return to normal. My phone rang. Marcus. "How did it go?" he asked. I told him about Kyle's proposal. There was a long pause. Then, "Are you serious? He wants to steal your wedding." I almost laughed at how absurd it sounded. "No, Marcus. He wants to save face. He wants to look like the noble guy taking responsibility. But I am not playing this game." A plan formed in my mind. Not revenge. Something better. Freedom. "What are you going to do?" Marcus asked. "I'm going to let them have exactly what they deserve," I said. "Each other." I went back inside. They were all still sitting there, frozen like a tragic tableau. Kyle looked up hopefully when he saw me. I stood in the center of the room and spoke clearly. "Kyle, you asked me to let you marry Sara instead." He nodded eagerly. "My answer is no." His face fell. "Not because I still want to marry her," I continued, "but because this is not my problem to solve for you." I turned to Sara. "You made a choice. You both did. And now you live with it. The wedding is canceled. I will notify the guests myself. I will not hide what happened. You two figure out your own lives because I am done being a part of this mess." Sara started crying harder. "Randall, please." But I was finished. "I am done, Sara. This is your life now. Figure it out with Kyle." My mother looked at me with something like pride through her tears. My father gave a slight nod. I looked at Kyle one last time. "Good luck, brother. You're going to need it." The next morning, I contacted a lawyer. Canceling the wedding venue cost money. A lot of money. But I did not care. I needed to be free of this. I drafted an email to all the guests, short and simple. "Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding is canceled. I appreciate your understanding." I did not explain more in writing, but when friends called to ask what happened, I told them the truth. Sara cheated with my brother. They are expecting a baby together. The reactions ranged from shock to outrage to sympathy. But everyone supported my decision. Not one person suggested I should forgive and move forward. My parents called that evening. "We are proud of you, son," Dad said. "You handled that with more grace than I could have." Mom added, "You did the right thing. You deserve someone who will be faithful to you." They told me Kyle had moved out of his apartment and was staying with Sara. They were trying to figure out their future. My parents had cut ties with Kyle temporarily. "He needs to understand the gravity of what he did," Dad said. I appreciated their support, but I told them I did not want to hear about Kyle or Sara anymore. I needed to move forward. Over the next few weeks, word spread through our social circles. Kyle lost his job. Apparently, the scandal affected his reputation at the marketing firm where he worked. Clients did not want to be associated with someone known for betraying family. Sara struggled with her pregnancy. Morning sickness hit her hard, and without a support system, she was miserable. Her friends had distanced themselves after learning what she did. They did end up getting married, but it was not the wedding anyone had imagined. A quick courthouse ceremony with just our parents present. No celebration, no joy, just obligation and shame. I heard through my mother that the reception afterward was awkward and sad. Kyle's co-workers did not come. Sara's friends made excuses. Even our extended family mostly stayed away. The wedding that was supposed to be mine became a funeral for their reputations. And honestly, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just emptiness where they used to be in my life. But that emptiness was better than the pain of betrayal. It was clean. It was mine. The first 3 months were the hardest. Despite everything, I found myself thinking about Sara constantly. Not missing her exactly, but mourning what I thought we had. 5 years of my life felt wasted. I'd imagined our future so clearly. Kids, a house with a yard, growing old together. All of it vanished like smoke. But I refused to contact her. Refused to check her social media. I needed a clean break. So I threw myself into work. As a software engineer, I could lose myself in code and problem solving. I took on extra projects, stayed late at the office, volunteered for the difficult assignments no one else wanted. My boss noticed. "Randall, you're doing excellent work, but make sure you're taking care of yourself, too." I appreciated the concern, but work was my lifeline. It gave me purpose when everything else felt meaningless. Marcus worried about me, too. He would drag me out to dinner, force me to socialize, remind me that life still existed outside my pain. One weekend, he surprised me with plane tickets. "We are going to Colorado," he announced. "You need a change of scenery." We spent a week hiking through the Rockies, camping under stars, talking about everything except Sara and Kyle. The mountain air cleared my head. The physical exertion tired my body enough that I could sleep without nightmares. For the first time in months, I felt something other than pain. I felt peace. Small and fragile, but real. When we got back, I joined a gym. Started running every morning before work. The endorphins helped. So did the routine. I needed structure to keep myself from spiraling. I also started volunteering at a local community center teaching kids basic programming. Helping others gave me perspective. My problems felt smaller when I saw kids lighting up because they made their first simple game. Through the community center, I met new people. Good people who knew nothing about my past. To them, I was just Randall, the patient volunteer who loved teaching. No baggage, no drama. It was refreshing. Slowly, I started to rebuild my life. Not the life I had planned with Sara, but a new one. One that belonged only to me. My relationship with my parents grew stronger. We had dinner together every Sunday. They never brought up Kyle unless I asked. I knew they still had contact with him, especially after the baby was born. A girl. They named her Emma. Christmas that year was strange. Kyle brought Sara and Emma to my parents' house. I was already there when they arrived. The moment was awkward beyond words. Sara could barely look at me. Kyle tried to act normal but failed miserably. Emma was tiny and perfect and completely innocent in all this mess. I held her for a moment, this baby who could have been part of my life in a different reality. She had Kyle's nose and Sara's eyes. I felt a pang of something. Not jealousy. Maybe sadness for what might have been. But mostly, I felt relief. Relief that this was not my responsibility. Not my burden to carry. I handed Emma back to Sara and excused myself early. As I drove home, I realized something important. I did not hate them anymore. I did not wish them ill. I just did not care. They were strangers to me now, connected only by shared history and blood relation. And that was okay. Indifference was better than hatred. It meant I was healing. A year after the canceled wedding, something unexpected happened. I met someone. Her name was Jenna. She taught second grade at the elementary school near the community center. We met at a volunteer appreciation event. She was kind and genuine with a laugh that made everyone around her smile. We started talking about education and kids and somehow ended up discussing classic movies. She loved old black and white films just like I did. "You have to watch Casablanca if you have not seen it," she said. "I have seen it at least 20 times," I replied. Her eyes lit up. We talked for 2 hours straight. When the event ended, I asked for her number. We went on our first date the following weekend. Dinner at a small Italian restaurant, then a walk through the park. I was nervous. More nervous than I had been with Sara, actually, because this time I knew how badly things could go wrong. I was guarded. Careful. Maybe too careful. But Jenna was patient. She did not push. We took things slow. 6 months into dating, I knew I needed to tell her about Sara and Kyle. We were sitting on her couch watching another old movie when I paused it. "There is something I need to tell you about my past." I told her everything. The betrayal, the canceled wedding, the baby, all of it. Jenna listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she took my hand. "That must have been so hard. I'm so sorry you went through that." No judgment, no pity, just understanding. "Are you over it?" she asked gently. I thought about it honestly. "Yes," I said. "I do not love Sara anymore. I do not hate Kyle anymore. It happened and it hurt, but I have moved on. Jenna smiled. Good, because I really like you, Randall, and I want to keep seeing where this goes. We continued dating, continued building something real and healthy, something based on honesty and trust. 2 years later, I proposed to Jenna at the same park where we had our first date. She said yes. My parents adored her. Marcus called her the best thing that ever happened to me. Even my relationship with Kyle had thawed slightly, though we would never be close again. Looking back now, I understand that betrayal was not the end of my story. It was just a painful chapter. Kyle and Sara made their choice. They decided their moment of weakness was worth destroying my trust and our family bond. But that was their decision, not mine. I did not have to fix it for them. I did not have to make their lives easier by stepping aside and letting Kyle take my place. When Kyle asked me to let him marry Sara instead, he was not being noble. He was trying to escape the consequences of his actions while looking like a hero. He wanted the wedding, the legitimacy, the appearance of doing the right thing, all without the shame of what he had done. But I saw through it, and I made a choice too. I chose myself. I chose my dignity. I chose to walk away from people who did not value me. That was not weakness. That was strength. The hardest part was not the anger or the pain. It was letting go of the future I had imagined. We all carry these pictures in our heads of how life should be. When reality shatters those pictures, it feels like everything is ending. But it is not. It is just changing. The life I have now with Jenna is different from what I planned with Sara. It is better, because it is built on a foundation of real trust, not the illusion of it. I learned to set boundaries, to recognize when people are trying to manipulate me into solving their problems, to understand that loyalty is not about blood or history, it is about respect and integrity. Kyle was my brother, but he did not respect me. Sara said she loved me, but she did not value our relationship enough to stay faithful. Those are facts, not failures on my part. Some people will betray you. That is a truth you learn the hard way. And some of those people will then expect you to help them feel better about betraying you. They will ask for favoriveness for understanding, for sacrifices that benefit them while costing you everything. You do not owe them that. You do not owe anyone your pain for their comfort. When Kyle stood in my parents' living room and suggested I should let him marry Sara, he was asking me to prioritize his needs over my own, to make his life easier at the expense of my dignity. And for a moment, seeing everyone looking at me with expectation, I almost considered it. Not because I wanted to, but because that is what we are taught. Be the bigger person. Turn the other cheek. Do not rock the boat. But sometimes being the bigger person means standing up for yourself. It means saying no. It means walking away. That is what I did. I smiled, and I walked away. Not because I did not care, but because I cared about myself more. I cared about my future more. I cared about finding real love more than clinging to a fake one. And that made all the difference. Today, I am happy. Genuinely happy. I have a partner who respects me, friends who support me, a family that despite everything stayed strong. Kyle and Sara are still together raising Emma. I hear they are struggling financially and emotionally, but that is not my concern anymore. They made their bed, I made mine, and I sleep peacefully in it. If there is anything I want you to take away from my story, it is this. Betrayal hurts. It can break you if you let it. But it can also teach you. It can show you who deserves your trust and who does not. It can force you to stand up for yourself in ways you never had to before. And ultimately, it can lead you to something better if you are brave enough to walk away from what is broken. Some people will betray you. Some will try to make you fix their mistakes. But you do not owe them anything. You owe yourself peace. And that is exactly what I found. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I read every single one and your stories matter. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And if you have not already, subscribe to this channel for more real-life stories about love, betrayal, and finding strength when everything falls apart. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that you deserve loyalty, respect, and genuine love. Take care of yourselves out there and remember that walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do.